We're now ready to assemble a Messerschmitt carburetor. It's been cleaned, the flange has been flattened and honed, it's been blown out with carburetor cleaner, compressed air. Doesn't really matter how you start. Today we're going to start with the air screw. The air screw has a small spring attached. It goes in this hole. You screw it in all the way until it bottoms out just slightly. Pick a reference point. Now back it off 2.5 turns. 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Next, we'll put the idler jet in. It's marked 35, and it goes on the flange side in the unmarked hole. Notice it's screwed into the aluminum frame, and the gasket, little fiber gasket's installed. We go all the way in, and you snug it just tight with an M11 wrench. Next, the main jet. In this case, if you could see, it was marked 120 on the side of the brass jet. It's also in its little frame. It goes into the hole marked H on the air cleaner side. Just snug with your M11. This is the idle adjust screw and retaining nut. It goes against the piston and goes in this hole right here. We'll use an M9 and just screw it all the way in to keep it in place. You'll use M9 to adjust this when you've got the car running. We'll rotate it over onto its top. The main jet, marked 1608, drops into this hole here, screws down tight, snug it up with your M8. You don't want to do too much on these. The cover cap drops on top with its gasket, snugs up with an M17. This chamber here is the enriching circuit. Here's the jet for it. Slightly different aluminum assembly, gasket, and this time it's a 90. And this is our M14. Just snug. Next up, float needle drops in this hole. Rotate it over. Place the float onto the needle. Push it all the way down until it snaps. Place the little cover screw with gasket there. Just snug. Now we'll put on the banjo, this thing here, the hollow nut, 2 gaskets, float cover, and its 2 screws. Line it up so that the needle is in the center hole. In this case, M7. Until just snug. Be very careful you don't tighten these down too far because it'll warp the flange and you'll have leaks. You can put 2 gaskets there, that may help. Come to the carburetor, or the choke or enriching circuit, and you may have two types of pistons. This is the newer style, this is the older style. And in both cases they have rubber seals at the bottom. To install the newer style, there's a retaining ring. Your wire drops into this groove, the retaining ring locks it in place, the spring snugs up against it, and the cover comes down. All this goes into this chamber right here. Get that puppy started. Finish up with our M11 until it's just snug. The piston has an indexing lug and the cylinder has a slot. Place the piston in the cylinder so that it drops all the way in. You can see the retaining clip on the needle and the spring, the knurled ring and cover, drop on top. I don't have the cables in, so it's just going to screw down tight. A feature of the Messerschmitt carburetor is the retaining clip. You may or may not have this. It's a good idea to have it. This drops around the adjuster and a screw is mounted here so that when you have this in the carb, you align the tab into one of the ring knurls and screw it down. That'll keep your knurled ring from backing off and your carburetor disconnecting while you're driving down the road. And that, my friends, is it.